Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about the budget aspect of the Dragon Ball Super card game. We've refocused and rededicated ourselves here at our channel here to focus more and cater more towards the budget aspect of the game. I have posted some budget profiles on the deck, $50 or less. I think you could get a pretty decent build. But what I will say moving forward into set 11, as you can see on the screen behind me here, there's a lot of archetype specific cards in set 11. With blue, you have your counter baby strategy. With yellow, you have your garlic and your skill list strategies. With red, you have your Gogeta and your Broly swap. Black is Dark Broly mainly. And green, you have your Gotenks fusion and your Majin Vegeta strategies. So there's a lot of archetype specific stuff coming in set 11. We have some new mechanics like Overlord and Servant, which hand in hand go with the Majin Vegeta archetype as well as the Garlic Jr. archetype. And for the most part, the Dark Broly deck is, completely built around its own engine. There's really no tech choices that you can put inside the deck, so to speak. It's one of those things where you have to jam all of the Dark Broly archetype specific cards into the deck. So as far as playing on a budget, if you're new to the game or if you're thinking about just getting into the game, I think set 11 is a good place to start. So what I wanted to talk about in this video is just a couple of tips here and there as to what it means to be a budget player and how to go about it. So in no order really, it's not really like a top 5 or a top 10, just a couple of things that I've noticed, transitioning from being a non-budget player to an only budget player. There's a couple of things that you can do to recycle your investment and continue to play the game and increase your card pool by just tweaking a couple things here and there. So the first biggest tip I have is if you do buy or you do invest in boxes, a sealed product, for example, if you pull any alternate art foils or SPR variants of SRs, obviously you want to try to either sell those or trade those to increase your card pool value. SPRs are very sought after because the amount of detail that Bandai puts into the alternate art printing of an SR into an SPR, people really look for that, especially those who have a collector's gene. They're going to want to try to have as many SPRs as possible, and the SPRs will accrue value as the set gets older. So it's one of those short-term, long-term type things where you as a budget player, you can flip the SPRs to increase your card pool or just to get a little bit of cash on the side and to purchase more product or purchase the singles that you're looking for. That's obviously something that you can do. Also, the foil common, uncommon rares that we get, with the full art rares, the foils that we get, that they started doing in set 10, those can command some really good market value, especially super combos. With now moving into set 11, we're getting those new super combos in every color where it's draw two, put one at the bottom of the deck. So those are going to be really sought after because essentially they're going to be the staple super combo moving forward if you're playing a monocolored strategy. So just a couple things here and there that you could look at as far as what your card pool is to increase what you have or what you want to play, or you can go ahead and flip that into more product. Another thing that's really important too when it comes to playing on a budget is knowing what you want to play before you make an investment. So we have a lot of tools at our disposal in the Dragon Ball Super card game. You can play on Octagon, which is a free online client, as well as Untap. They're not officially licensed by Bandai, but those are programs that you can go ahead and play the game, learn the mechanics, test out decks, stuff like that. You can build something online and see how it plays, see if you really like it, before you go ahead and physically purchase the cards in real life. Now, granted, it's not going to always be the most competitive venue. There are tournaments that are being held now online because of the COVID pandemic. We really can't have in real life locals and stuff like that. So a lot of the core TCG and PPG events have been held on Untap. But for the most part, if you're looking at getting into the game or you're looking at purchasing a new deck, the best way to do is to test online first and then see if that's exactly what you want to do. You make your tweaks here and there. I would say on average, I take about a week or two from the primary build to the final build, just tweaking here and there, testing for a couple hours here and there before I go ahead and purchase the cards or actually physically put the deck together. Even though the card game is meant to be played in real life, the online clients are just a tool for us to use, to further extend, our grasp of the game or our availability of the game. So that's just another tip. You can use online deck builders like DBS Decks or Shenron's Lair also. That's a good way to physically, put a deck together so you can look at your ratios and see, what cards you want to order. You can obviously get pricing and stuff like that from Shenron's Lair as well, and then go ahead and order the deck from TCG Player. So there's a lot of things that you could do digitally before you go ahead and make the physical purchase. The other thing I'd like to mention too is, if you're looking to play on a budget, try to stick to one color, not specifically one archetype. I think that might be you might be limiting yourself a little too much if you're just trying to stick to one archetype. But if you limit yourself to one color, there's a good starting place that you can begin, and then just increase your card pool depending on the support that comes out in that color. So for example, if you're playing a blue deck, you can start, building your blue deck forward, and then you can add pieces here and there like blue staples that we've had, all the way dating back to set 1, like Sensu Bean. Dimension Magic is a really good blue negate that you got back in set 5. So if you stick to a color, you can start focusing in on that card pool. Now, obviously, each color lends itself to a different play style, so it's good to experiment and see how you're more comfortable. If you're looking for a more control or mid-range style, blue is probably your best bet because it can be pretty defensive and it does have really good higher end cards depending on how much energy you have. If you're looking for an aggressive strategy, you can play black or you can play red. There are some aggro green decks as well. So there's a couple of things sprinkled here and there, but I would say try to find out what your playstyle is. If you play any other card games that you like to play a particular way, just maybe translate that into Dragon Ball Super. That's a good way to stay focused on a specific strategy. And then obviously as you continue to play, and whether it's prize support or just picking up cards here and there, you can extend your card pool through that. So just one thing I want to mention too, like when I came back into the Dragon Ball Super card game just slightly over a month ago, I basically started from zero. And one of the main things that I did was went out and looked at what starter decks were available. That's another really good thing to do. For the most part, you can go pick up a starter deck. You can pick up 2 starter decks for $20 to $25, jam them together, and then you'll have a decent, serviceable deck to play and just to get your feet wet. And then from there, you can make minor upgrades. So my first deck coming back into the game was the Vegex starter deck, and I just pieced it together here and there, picked up a couple singles, picked up a couple of rares, and just pieced the deck together the way I wanted to play it. I mean, it didn't work out in my favor because, the Bibbidi got errated and stuff like that, and I haven't really officially played Vegex at a tournament. But that's a good way to start too, seeing what type of decks you have available in the starter variant. Bandai does do a really good job of making starter decks. For the most part, I haven't really had any problems with the starter decks they've made, since day one, dating all the way back to Blue Soul Striker. A lot of the starter decks have been a really good amalgamation of cards that they've offered. Set 5 with the Shenron Wish Leader, you got your 7 Dragon Balls in the starter deck. So it was definitely something that was easy to pick up and play. So that's a good, inexpensive way of starting your, not so much your collection, but starting building your card pool. Also, supplementary sets, right? So obviously you have your core sets. You have your Vermilion Bloodlines, you have your Rise of the Unison Warriors. Those are going to be your core booster sets. But then in between you have, supplementary sprinkled product here and there. Draft boxes, anniversary boxes. As you can see back there, maybe you can't see behind me, but there's a couple ultimate boxes that are back there, which is an older product. Supplementary sets are good because they usually come with multiple copies of cards. So, as far as I know, the anniversary box that we got for 2020, the new cards, there was 2 copies per card, per box. So if you picked up 2 anniversary boxes, you were able to get a playset of all the other cards and then a chance to get the really good sought-after reprints. So, knowing what product to purchase and when to purchase it is really good too, because you're making a minor investment, but you're going to get a good amount of serviceable cards that you can use to, make minor upgrades to your deck as you go here and there. So that's just another good thing too, looking out for supplemental products. Draft boxes, theme booster sets are obviously pretty inexpensive, except for Tournament of Power. That's obviously the granddaddy of them all when it comes to theme boosters. But theme booster sets, they're the total amount of cards printed in the set is much less than a regular set, so it's easier to get a play set or get a specific amount of cards for that theme booster than it is for like a regular set. So if you go back to World Martial Arts Tournament, you were able to get one secret rare for every 4 boxes. So that was a good way, or every 3 boxes or something like that. It was either 3 or 4 secret rares per case for World Martial Arts Tournament. So if you go back now and you compare the prices that you have available to you on TCG Player, you can see that a lot of those cards, because there were so many of them put into circulation, that they're not too expensive to pick up. So the last thing I want to talk about, I don't really focus too much on the market as far as like, the fluctuation of card pricing. Obviously, it's all meta dependent, and a lot of it is like hype train and stuff like that. Like if you look at cards, older cards are just overly priced because there's either buyouts or there's hype or there's meta relevancy. That all really depends. That's more of like a seller's market. But as far as a buyer's market is concerned, you can go and you can look at all of the sets that Dragon Ball Super has released on TCG Player, and you can look at the entire card list for that specific set. Now, just off the top of my head, like set 1, Galactic Battle, there's a 6-drop SR Goku. He's a green 6-drop. The card is probably not good or not really good to play right now, or maybe you can make the argument that's unplayable. So when you look at cards that are unplayable, that are SRs, they're super inexpensive. So if you're looking to either collect or if you're looking at, potential for future playability, I would start with the older sets. So like you could probably pick up a set of the 6-drop Goku from set 1 for a couple dollars, So something like that, I would always keep an eye on older cards. Like if you look at Senzu Bean has fluctuated so much in the market because it's such a good card, but it's also an older card, and there's been multiple reprints. So obviously the reprints are going to drive the value down of the original printing, but it's also going to make the reprint a lot more expensive. Like if you look at the foil Senzu Bean that we got in the first anniversary box, it's a lot of money. So I would keep an eye on older staples like that, like Senzu Bean, Dimension Magic. Just specifically for blue, right? But there's also older cards in different colors as well. So it's a lot more effort, staying on a budget, because you have to do a lot of preemptive research. You have to play test online, before you make a commitment to purchasing a deck. You have to look at the market value of certain things and see what to pick up and what to unload. You have to be very smart with your trading. If you're sticking to a specific archetype, or if you're sticking to a specific color, but you have an excess amount of super rares or special rares and other colors that you're not utilizing at the moment, try to trade them. And then once you start getting to the point where you have a deck that works for you and you're just constantly playing it, now you have the price support that comes into it. So when you're playing in official events, you have tournament packs. They could be valuable if it's something that you don't need. You can collect the tournament pack promos and you could trade them. So it's a trading card game, obviously. So I want to encourage you guys to trade with your fellow players at your locals. But obviously there's also a good online marketplace for it as well. And then the last thing, which isn't really that popular, if you go to like big box retail like Target, Target usually has Dragon Ball Super products available, for purchase there. I think the packs average anywhere from like $3 to $4 for a pack. The only thing that you have to the only thing that is kind of it might be like a gray area. It depends on how you look at it. The blister packs is what they call it for big box retail. They're not from like a factory sealed case. So there's no like ratio or anything like that. So you could go ahead and buy 24 blister packs, which would be the equivalent of how many packs you would get in a box, and there's no guarantee to what you're going to pull out of those boxes. Usually sealed products have specific ratios, like you'll get 4 to 5 SRs, 2 SPRs, and whatnot, and you get a foil uncommon, common, rare in each pack. So you'll get a good amount of foils and stuff like that. But when it comes to blister packs from big box retail, there's no like guaranteed ratio. But the good thing that I like to look at is when you get packs from big box retail, because there's no guarantee, you're playing the lottery, and you could, if you're lucky enough, you can pull really expensive cards in multiple packs. Like when I first got back into the game, I bought a couple of packs from Target. I think I bought like maybe like 15 or 20 packs from one of my Targets, my local Targets in Dixon City, Pennsylvania. And I was able, out of those 20 packs, I was able to pull 3 Dormant Dormant Potential Unleashed, which is like the green counter card that's like super popular and super expensive from set 10. So I was able to make a minor investment and get lucky enough to pull an expensive card, which I then turned into, increasing the size of my card pool. So there's a lot of things that you guys can do to maintain a budget, but also increase your card pool and recycle your finances. So if you make an initial investment and then you recycle that money and put it back into more product, that's how you constantly just build up your card pool. There could be a point, if you're good enough and you're on top of it, there could be a point where you can quote unquote play Dragon Ball Super for free because you're not making any, financial investments from your pocket. You're just reusing the money that you've spent and reinvested into the game from your existing card pool. So if you can get to that level, then obviously you can enjoy the game and not have to worry about finances. What I do recommend, of course, is building your card pool as best as you possibly can and then making minor upgrades, here and there as you go, through playing and changing of sets and stuff like that. But I just kind of wanted to peel back and get a look at my perspective on budgeting and playing on a budget and making smart purchases as opposed to, excess purchases. Obviously, if you're a really good player and you can get a sponsorship from a team or you can get, an affiliation with a store or something like that, that's much later down the road. But if you're just getting into the game or you're just getting back into the game, you need to start from zero. These are just a couple of things that you can do to get started. So I hope you guys like this type of video. Just a heads up, I'm not going to be attending a local this weekend. It's my 1-year wedding anniversary, so I'm going to be spending some time with my wife. And we're going to be uploading, obviously, our 3 days a week here at No Counters, No Combos. So it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday for this week. There's not going to be a battle chamber this week because my locals over the weekend was the sealed event for the pre-release, and I didn't really think that would be compelling content for you guys to consume. So we're not going to be doing a battle chamber this week, but everything will get back to normal, the next week. So we'll get our 3 uploads this week. I'm not going to be attending locals this weekend, and the following week after that, everything will start getting back to normal. So let me know what you guys think about this type of video in the comment section down below. What are your go-to strategies and tips for budgeting or playing on a budget? Let's open this up for discussion. I know there's a lot of players out there who want to maintain that budget status, and there has to be an avenue for you guys to explore as well. I mean, Dragon Ball Super is a very versatile game. You have your people that like to invest into it and play the big money cards. You also have your people that like to enjoy it on a more casual level, and then you have your budget players in between. So I think everybody should have somebody that they can relate to, and I'm excited to see and hear what you guys think about playing Dragon Ball Super on a budget. So don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.